Hi guys, hi everybody. My name is Sheyo Bassi. I am the creator of the Niger to Canada JAPA system, and today I want to talk about something that's very important, very close to my heart, and something I've gotten a lot of questions about. Today we're going to be talking about securing scholarship or funding for graduate studies in Canada. So I'm going to be sharing tips, hacks, and strategies from my personal experience and from the experience of a lot of people that I've met in Canada who have gotten funding for their graduate studies. Okay, so but before we go on, I ask you to please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and also share it, okay? Um, you can leave a comment, but right now we don't have that option for comments, but don't forget to subscribe and like. So I've gotten a lot of questions from people who want to come to Canada for graduate studies, and that's for masters as well as for PhD, asking how they can get funding, scholarship, and talking about a lot of the difficulties and challenges that they've been getting securing funding to study in Canada. And that's very understandable. It's actually not strange. And that's why I decided that, you know what, I was going to do this video and talk about a few things that I've learned about getting this funding and scholarship and what you can do to get funding and scholarship in Canada. Now, there's something that I must stress very importantly about getting funding and scholarship in Canada, and that is that it is very, very competitive. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are wanting to come to Canada because unlike probably other locations like the US or the UK or Australia, Canada offers a way to permanent residence for international students. So it's getting very, very competitive. And then Canada doesn't have as much schools as in the USA, for example. The USA has like thousands of schools, but Canada has very few schools, maybe a couple of hundred schools, and everybody, all these thousands of people who are trying to come to Canada looking for funding are coming to this same school. So it's getting competitive, and it's even getting more competitive as the year goes by. It was competitive when I got here, but it wasn't as competitive as it is now, you must admit, because a lot more people are trying to come to Canada and from a lot of countries. So it's getting more competitive. So you need to be strategic, as in you need to know what you're doing. You need to know those little hacks that can make you stand out to get the available funding and scholarships. Now, first of all, let's talk about the different kinds of funding and scholarship that are available. There are actually three broad types of funding and scholarship available. You can get funding from organizations, what is called like external funding. So you can get funding from different organizations. You can get funding from companies that are not related to the school. You can even get funding from your country. I met a lot of people here in Canada who got funding from their government, like from Ghana, for example. Their government gave them funding to come to Canada to study. You can get funding from maybe your workplace. There are Total funding. There are different companies like oil companies that give funding. So that is another kind of funding that you can actually use to come to Canada. Nigeria also have the state fund funding that they give to people who are lecturers also who have PhD. That's another funding that you can get to come to Canada. The second kind of funding is the entrance scholarship. Now, these are given by the universities. So sometimes they give it based on merits, they give it based on your scores. Some schools give it to everybody who they take, who they admit. Actually got entrance scholarship. I think it's about the price, the scholarship price ranges. I think mine was about maybe $3,000. And I think it's a one-time scholarship. So it's not the type that you're going to be getting every year that's going to cover your tuition, but that's one type of funding. But the funding that a lot of people are interested in who are coming into Canada for graduate studies is the research funding, or sometimes when people can call it research grants. Okay. Now, this is the kind of funding that actually covers your tuition, sometimes even part of your living expenses. So for this kind of funding, you do not have to pay tuition, okay? So the school covers your tuition, or the funding itself covers your tuition. It's usually offered by the school. So if you're going to the University of Toronto, for example, that school, through the professor that you're working with, will provide that funding that will cover your tuition, cover part of your living expenses, and it can come with teaching assistantship, research assistantship, whichever way. They are usually organized and structured in different ways, depending on the school that you're attending. Now, one thing that you should note about research funding or research grants is that, as the name connotes, it is usually available for research-based programs. That's why it's a research funding. It's usually not available for course-based program. Yeah? Or course-based programs. Now, research-based programs are programs where you would have to actually go and do research as part of your studies. And it usually covers like programs under STEM or humanities, social sciences, right? So STEM, humanities, and social sciences are usually the programs that have this research funding. But things like business programs or MBA, accounting, and all that, they don't do a lot of research there. Yeah, they don't have to go out in the field, get data, measure stuff in the lab. No. So they would usually not get research funding. That doesn't mean they don't have some form of scholarship or funding. They do, but not research funding. So they're not going to get the kind of research funding that we're talking about, but they can get entrance scholarships or entrance grants or any other kind of funding, but not research funding. So usually research funding is for those who are actually coming to Canada to do research. And Canada places like a lot of emphasis on research. Canada loves research. That's one thing I found out since I've been here. And there's a lot of money available for research. Yeah. Sometimes the government gives research to the schools. Sometimes research is available through your professor, but there is money for research. Okay. Now, the question, which is $1 million question, is now, how do you get your own thoughts of this scholarship money that's flying everywhere? Now, there are one of two things that you need to do in Canada. You need to be strategic, because if you are not strategic, you're going to just be wasting your time, probably waste money as well. Now, one of the ways, or maybe probably the major way that you get funding, is that you need to connect to a prospective supervisor, because usually your funding will be channeled through your professor or through your supervisor. Yeah. So you have to actually get a supervisor who agrees to supervise your research and agrees to work with you and agrees that they would provide that funding for you. And that is where the competition comes in, because these supervisors are getting a lot of emails. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you what to do so that your own email is standing out and they will respond to you. Another thing I want to say is that you should focus on the U15 schools. Now, the U15 schools are schools in Canada that have a lot of money available for research grants. Yeah. Sometimes these schools combine, get maybe 80% of the research funding that's available to universities in Canada. And I'm going to show you in a bit what these schools are. These 15 schools, that's the U15 when it comes to research. So these schools on the screen now are the U15 schools. They, like I said, get a lot of research. So it's University of Alberta, Dalhousie University, University of McGill, University of Ottawa, University of Toronto, University of Laval, UBC, University of Calgary, University of Manitoba, University of Montreal, University of Saskatchewan, Western University, University of Waterloo, Queen's University, and McMaster University. Now, these are the U15 schools that you should actually focus on. Now, one thing I must say is that even though I've said you should concentrate on these schools, please don't save yourself short by concentrating only on these schools. My school is not a U15. I went to Brock University. It's not a U15, but I actually got funding from them. Okay, so you can start with the U15, but please broaden your search. Okay, broaden your search to include all other schools. They might not have as much research as the U15, but they also have funding available for research studies. Now, how do you start? The first thing you need to do is that you need to search for schools that actually are doing your program. Now, don't be lazy. If you want to come to Canada for graduate studies and you're looking for funding or scholarship, it's a project. You can't be lazy. You can't expect somebody else to do it for you. You actually have to do it yourself. I'm going to tell you the process that I used, the process that I've helped a lot of people to also use as well, that has actually gotten them funding here in Canada. There are a couple of people who are in Brock University with me. They came after me. They use the same method, and people in other schools as well. It works, okay? Now, the first thing is that you need to know where you're searching, okay? Now, I've given you the U15 schools. Yeah, that's where to start. But you also need to search all the schools in Canada, okay? Now, I searched all the schools. Now, there are not so many schools, like I said initially, so it's not as if you'll be searching forever, but you need to actually dedicate time in your day for this. So there's a DLI list, Designated Learning Institute. You must go to a DLI if you want to get your post-graduation work permit after you finish studying. So what you can do is that you can start looking at all the schools in the DLI one by one, yeah, to identify the schools that actually have the program that you're going for. Now, one thing about the programs in Canada that I must mention out is that sometimes the names that you're looking for is not actually the name that the program is called here, yeah. So you might have done something in, like, I don't know, maybe project management, and then they might have programs that are in little bits of project management, like things that are specialized. Okay, so that's why sometimes you need to look at, if you're just going to type programs that are in forestry or zoology or something, you might not find a master's degree in zoology, but I tell you that there are programs that are related to zoology, maybe fishery, maybe water resources, maybe microbiology. Yeah, you need to find a way to find a common ground with programs that are available. Okay. Another thing you can do is that you can identify research areas, like I said, that are within your field. So you're not putting yourself in a box. You're not saying because I did zoology or I did botany, I'm looking for a master's program in botany or zoology. You might see something that has to do with, I don't know, plant management or something. Let me tell you, you can really, so long as you can tie it to your own botany or zoology, you're good to go. Now, once you have looked through those schools, you will identify the programs that you're interested in. And then when you do that, you will identify the professors that are actually maybe professors in that area. Now, the way it is that these schools have the program page. They also have faculty members in the program page. Now, a lot of times they also identify faculty members that are open for supervision, okay? Now, you have to identify a professor that has research that is aligning with yours. Yeah, so because you need to be reaching out to people who have research that's aligning with yours, or you need to actually align your research with theirs, because if you're pitching something to them that is not in their area, they won't be interested, right? If someone is coming to tell you something about plant biology, but you're somebody who is doing animal biology, you probably not be interested, except the person can bring like a contemporary research topic that actually links the plant biology and the animal biology in a very sweet way or contemporary way. Then that might spark your interest. You need to be able to spark the interest of these professors. So how do you do that? Number one, you have to read their papers. Okay, now you identify a professor, their papers, read their last 2, 3 or so papers. Go on Google Scholar and search for them. And read their research so that you understand from their last 2 or 3 papers what they are doing, where the research is going, if there's any contemporary research topic that you can preach to them that would interest them. Sometimes they also have personal blog pages where they talk about their research, what their interest is, what they are hoping to be able to do in the future. This is like expo for you. Those are the things that will help you to be able to craft, an email or a research topic that will actually interest them. Now, there are some research programs where the school will say, don't bother to contact a supervisor, who attach you to a supervisor when you get admitted. Now, that is fine, all well and good, but I also tell people who I work with that despite what that school says, that's their own. Oh, you to try and still contact a supervisor. You do know the reason why? It's because they get a lot of students, yeah? And they can't take everybody. Research is limited, spaces in labs are limited. They can't take anybody. And they need to, if they have all these dossiers and portfolios in front of them, who are they going to choose? If you have reached out to them before and they have an idea of, we've contacted them, they've communicated with you, they have an idea of your research topic, they think you're intelligent, don't you think you're going to stand out when they start looking at all that portfolio? Because somebody's going to have to pick and choose. And there has to be something that they are picking and choosing from. So it goes beyond what your GPA is. They also look at your research topic. The supervisor also has a chance to be able to choose and say, okay, you know what, I like this person's research or I don't like this person's research, and make a decision. Yeah. So even if they say don't reach out, please do reach out. Now, when you are reaching out to the supervisors, you have to be strategic. There are 2 parts to this. Number one, you be organized. And number two, you make sure that the emails that you're sending out are on point. Now, how do you stay organized? You stay organized, usually, I would say, get an Excel sheet. Like when I was doing I had this Excel sheet where I'll put the name of the school, the program that I'm reaching out to, the name of the professor, the date I reach out to them, the date I sent a reminder, the date they came back to me or they didn't come back to me, and then I'll have comments. So it helps me to stay focused so that I'm not sending an email over and over to the same professor, or I'm not remembering whether they sent me a response or not, but I need to send a reminder. It helps me to stay kind of focused, okay? So, and you want to do that to stay focused. Now, the second thing you need to do is that you need to be sending cold emails. Now, the reason this is cold emails is because you're sending emails to prospective supervisors who don't know you, like they don't know you from Adam or Eve. You're reaching out to them cold. That's why it's called emails. Yeah. So I mean, these are prospective supervisors. You're reaching out to them cold emails. There needs to be a reason why they should respond to your email. Your email has to have a subject that attracts them. It has to have, and then when they actually go ahead and open the emails, it has to be something that is attractive to them. So your email must be very strategic. It must be well written, and it must sell you. Don't forget that this is a competition. This is like going for a job interview. You enter a job interview. I don't know if that's happened to you. You think that there will be two or three of you. You enter a job interview and there are like 10, 15 people. It's demoralizing because there are too many people and you know that they just want to take one person. Who are they going to take? You don't understand. So you have to be very strategic. You're not the only one writing to them. There are so many people writing to you. And then when you send your emails to them, some of them will respond, some of them will not respond. The things that you must make sure in your email, your subject line must be something that is attractive, because the subject line is usually that first thing that they see. It has to be something that is attractive. Now, your subject line is attractive, and then they open the email. You have to tell them who you are, your GPA, don't forget to put that. You need to pitch them a research topic. Don't just say, I saw your paper and it was interesting. Which paper did you see? What was interesting about it? Why did it make you reach out to them? What is it that you are pitching to them? What research topic do you want to do? What time do you want to start? What are you bringing to the table? Yeah. This video is not about cold emails, but I'm just giving you like 3 or 4 tips of what you should put in your email. It should be concise. It shouldn't be too long. It shouldn't be too short. The information needs to be there, and then you need to attach your CV or your resume, and you need to attach your transcript as well. So there needs to be enough information there for them to be able to make a decision and reach out back to you. Now, like I said before, some will respond, some will not respond. And if they respond, that's a good thing. If they don't respond after a week, send a reminder. Okay, don't be discouraged. Send a reminder. Now, for as respect to what should be in your emails, like I mentioned before, if you want to see samples of that, you can go. There are samples about cold emails all over the internet. We have samples in the Canada JAPA system as well. But don't go to the internet and then just copy sample emails, code emails, and paste it and send to a professor. No, because a lot of people who are not so smart to be doing that. You don't want a professor to see your email and be like, I saw something like this last week. I saw something like this yesterday. They will know that you just went to the internet and copied and pasted it. It's not a good look, yeah, because you're reaching out to them for research, which means that you're willing to actually do research, do the work, and then if you're copying and pasting, it looks like as if you're not serious. Yeah. So a badly written email will probably jeopardize your chances and will not get a response. Okay. So don't do that. Look at the samples we have inside the Canada JAPA system. If you have the Canada JAPA system, if you don't, you can also look at samples you find on the internet, but try and make it unique. Try and make it your own. Make your voice to come out, to shine. Make it yours. Make it unique about you. Not just that it's something you just picked on the internet and copied and paste. That means you're lazy. Yeah. And nobody wants to work with anybody that is lazy. So you might get a response from a professor saying, you know what, my lab is full, or they could say they're not taking students at this point, or they could just say something that is negative. I had somebody say to me that, so I received a couple of negative emails. I don't want to go into that, but don't allow that to deter you. Yeah. This is warfare. This is competition. If somebody says, my lab is full, I'm not taking students, fine, move on to the next one. You need is just that one person to say, Yes, I like your research and I'm going to supervise you. One. You just need one. Yeah. So people do get more than one. But if you've written to 50, for example, I wrote to more than 50. I mean, some people, when I tell them 50, they're like 50. I've written to 6 and nobody has responded to me. I'm like, 6. You've written to only 6. I wrote to 50 professors or more. I'm going to talk about this towards the end of the video of what I went through in order, how I wrote to them, but I did write to a lot of professors. Now, if they get back to you and they tell you, I'm not doing, my lab is full, I'm going on sabbatical, I'm going on holidays, there's lots of excuses they give. You know what you're going to do? You're going to ask for a referral. Thank them very much for even responding back to you, because a lot of them will not even bother to respond. The ones that respond, thank them very, very well, and then ask for a referral. It is very important. Ask for a referral. That I understand you're not going to taking you're not going to be taking students in your lab, or you're going on sabbatical. Do you have any other professor that you could refer me to? The professor I finally worked with at Brock University, I got her by referral. That's why I'm saying this one. The professor actually reached out to, was going on sabbatical and referred me to her. Just, and I think because I was referred from a senior colleague, he was a senior colleague of hers, it opened the door for her to sort of, look at my proposal a bit more, and then we got talking. So ask for referral, okay? And then if you've sent emails to all the professors and they are not reaching out to you, because I get people complaining that all the professors are reaching out, the ones that are reaching out are negative, you can reach out to the graduate coordinator of that school, okay? All the programs usually have a graduate coordinator, which is like the person that's actually in charge of graduate school. You can reach out to them. I don't know if they will have a solution, but I've heard stories of people who have reached out to graduate coordinators and they've been able to probably recommend someone. Those graduate coordinators are also professors to look at your research and take you themselves, or they might give you an advice or tell you go to this school or reach out to this person. We're not leaving any chances, okay? So contact the graduate supervisor, send reminders to professors who have not responded to you, for example, send them reminders every week. There's somebody I met who told me that she wasn't getting reminders, and she actually looked for the phone number of the professor, called him, all the way from Nigeria to Canada. That doesn't happen because she said she spent a lot of time on the phone to this man. There were two of them. The first one she spent a lot of time speaking to did not even take her at the end of the day. She spent a lot of money. But the second one, because of her persistence, he's sort of like, okay, you know what, I'm going to look at your proposal, I'll look at your email. He did, and that's the person she's working with today. She would not give up. I mean, she had been refused before. She was trying to get a supervisor. It was taking too long. She had to reach out to them by phone. So that's the kind of passionate spirit that you need for this. So let's say at the end of the day, the professor has read your email, he likes it, and then he or she likes it and reaches out to you and say, you know what, I like it, I want to talk a bit more. Can we arrange like a Zoom meeting or a Skype meeting? It used to be Skype or a Zoom meeting these days. Then a lot of people start shaking. Then I say, what are they going to ask me? What am I going to say? Oh my God, this is the moment of truth for you. Someone wants to have a meeting with you. If you mess this up, then, I mean, you're not going to forgive yourself. So at this point, you would have read their papers. If you haven't read their papers or you've forgotten what's in their papers, you can get their latest papers and read it very well. I even went to the point of reading about my professor's personal life, like her family. There's not a lot of information sometimes, some people are very private, but as much information as you can get about this person in terms of hobbies, in terms of what they like to do, go to their Facebook page, search for them on Twitter, search for them on Instagram, just get a little bit of what they are, because by the time you're having a conversation with them, you also want to chip in a little bit of personal things, and you want to be talking about the right things. So you don't want to talk about something that is probably alien to what they don't, alien to them, maybe something they don't like, which is obvious, and they will think that if this person had Googled me, they would have seen this, yeah? You don't want to put them off like that. And then when you do have that conversation with them, you want to sound smart. Please, I beg you. You want to sound smart. If you're in a country where NEPA gives problem, where there's electricity problem, make sure that you're connected to a good internet and you have good light source so that your meeting is not interrupted for anything. Your life depends on it. Yeah, your future depends on it. Your destiny depends on it. So make sure that you have good internet. I've heard all sorts of horror stories. I can't go into the horror stories of NEPA. taking life for those in Nigeria, horror stories of internet disturbing, and then the meeting couldn't go on, all sorts. So make sure that none of that is happening. You are perfectly prepared. In the JAPA system, we have tips for interviews with professors, what you need to say to them, questions you can ask them, how you can prepare. These all are taught inside the JAPA system. Now, one thing you need to be also showing the professor when you reach out to them by cold email and when eventually they supervise you and eventually they reach out to you for a call. And these things you can also put in your CV, on your resume, is your experience. You need to show that you're interested in that research area. You don't have to have written a paper or have a research paper or publication in that area. No, but show by maybe taking all these free courses. When I was coming here to Canada, just before I came, I took all these free courses. I went to Udemy. I went to all these courses where I could get some. I paid as little as $10, but it showed that I was interested in this research topic. I kept gathering little certificates here and there, joining one organization or the other. I put all that in my CV to make it look like this is something that I understand, so that by the time they are reaching out to you and they are looking through your resume, they are impressed already. You are there to wow them all, because you're not the only one they are talking with. They are probably going to also talk to a couple other people, depending on their schedule and maybe their interests. Some of them can only take a few people. They can only take one or two people. So they're going to only be taking the people that actually impress them. And you want to impress them. This is the only way that you will get this funding. You want to impress them. So when they finally reach out to you by email, they're going to be asking questions about your research, asking questions about their own research, wanting to know why you chose them. Speak intelligently. If you have to read all their papers, like I said before, read their papers, understand their research. Come up with contemporary or interesting angles to their research, interesting angles that will interest them. You can connect their research with something that is happening recently, maybe something like COVID, anything happening recently that's contemporary. They like all these things that will, make their own research stands out, because the professors as well, research is like the backbone of what they're doing. They have to be putting out papers, they have to stay relevant and all that. So if they see a student who is hot, cha-cha, and then you show yourself to be intelligent, they will be interested. Because like I've said before, and I'm saying again, this is competition. So when you finally are able to have that meeting with them, be focused, have questions that you're going to ask them, 2 or 3 questions to ask them, be interested, smile, ask those questions, and sound intelligent. I'm telling you, if you do well, that is it. You just need that one person to say, yes, I will supervise you. And that is it. Your life has changed. You have a great opportunity to come to Canada. So like I said before, what you need to do is that be choosing a program. Look through all the schools in the DLI. You have to connect to every school, professors in every school that actually has your program or something related to your program. You don't want to limit it to 5 or 6 professors. You don't want to limit it to 5 or 6 schools. Try the U15 and then every other school in all the other provinces in the DLI list, reach out to them. Now, by the time you find these professors, list them. Have your research Excel sheet. List out their names, list out their emails, list out their research topic. Take time to read their papers, 1 or 2 of their papers, okay? So that you can understand their papers, understand what their research topic is, come up with a research that you put in your email. You're not sending the same email to all of them. Don't forget to. You're sending an email that actually matches their own research topic. So don't have one template and say, copy and paste. You know, go work. Don't do that, okay? You're reaching out to them, they have that cold email. If they reach out to you and say, I'm not taking students, thank them very much, ask for a referral. If they reach out and they're interested and they want to set up a Skype or a Zoom meeting, then you got to prepare for that, read their papers, have intelligent questions to ask, and you're good to go. Okay, now the last but not the least, I don't want the video to be too long. That's why I'm trying to like just talk about the important things. The last but not the least is that you need to pray for grace. Okay, prayer is very important. Like, this is not something you're going to do by your own power. Remember what I talked about, that when I was doing my own, like I was working, I was a mother, I was a wife, I was working. I lived in Lagos, so that means I would drive through Lagos traffic, come home maybe by 8 or so, make sure my children have eaten. And when everybody has slept, say 10 o'clock, I will start my research. I will do that till about midnight. And the next day, I'm waking up by 5, driving Lagos traffic again. I did that consistently for about a month, gathered all their emails, gathered their research topic. Every day I was reading one research paper or the other. Some of them I don't even understand what is in the research papers, but I'll read it and make notes. And based on that, I will construct my email and reach out to professors. They were getting back to me. Some were saying no, but I'm telling you, like 5 people were interested, and I had meetings with them. And eventually, 2 people um, offered me that funding. I'm going to show you the funding that I got from Brock that I eventually accepted. So this is the research this is the funding that I got from Brock University. It was a 2-year Master of Sustainability program. And you can see funding for year 1, it was $27,000. It's a lot of money because my tuition at the time was about $22,000, I think. So there was that extra 5,000 that I could do anything I wanted with. I also got research assistantship, teaching assistantship. It also comes with research and teaching assistantship, which means you'll be teaching, doing research, and getting paid for that. Okay. And I know a lot of people who have funding even more than me. They have funding in their 30,000, 40,000 funding. PhD students also get funding. Master students get funding. So it is doable. Even these days, people are still getting this funding. But you need to know that it is competition. Yeah, you need to be strategic. You need to have something that makes you stand out. You need to pray for grace. It is grace, it is favor. When I started sending those my emails, see how hard I was working every day, 2 hours. I would read papers, I would construct email. And at first when they started refusing me and saying, I would cry, like I would and cry. And I say, God, I'm good. I'm a great student. Like I have very good results. I have great prospects. Why can't people see it? One person see my prospects, see the prospect that I have saying it, they were refusing me. I was crying almost every day, but I didn't stop my day. I would cry, I would clean my eye. The next day, I was crying. So I knew that this thing, my life depends on this thing. I need to get this funding. I need to get this admission, and I wanted the admission with funding. And God sort of saw my effort. He saw what I was doing. And then I reached out to the professor one day. I got a response. And he said he was going on sabbatical, but my research will fit very well with this person. I forwarded my email to them, my dear. That is how I started talking with this professor. She called me, we had a discussion. It was beautiful. We bonded immediately, talked about our hobbies. Of course, I had Googled her, checked everything about her, our family. I knew her papers, I read her papers. By the time we're going to have that meeting, I read all her papers, recent papers. I knew her research in and out. So when she was asking me what I wanted to do, everything I was telling her was aligned with what she wanted to do. She was very excited. Yeah. I also had a couple of professors who were really rude in the way they refused me. It broke my heart. But, all of those things were now water under the bridge. By the time this particular professor said, you know what? I like you and I will supervise you. Just do your SOP. I put my name there. She even told me to do the SOP and sent to her. She reviewed it, sent it back to me with corrections. I've not even applied though, with corrections. And then I submitted. She was the one that still came back to tell me that I have been accepted by the graduate school. She told me even before the school told me. So that's how the favor. And by the time I got to the school, she was like a guardian angel. She cared for me. She would opportunities for funding. She made sure any funding that is anywhere in that school, she was getting it. Yeah. So I mean, and it was just grace. Like I'm not special. I wasn't like a special child of God or doing anything, but I knew that I needed God's favor. I called on God. You get why you call God. Pray and fast about it. You need grace. You just need that. That's one professor. Forget about all the no's you're getting. You might be getting no's at this point, but that's one professor is all you need. And if you need step-by-step guide, someone who actually review your emails, probably review your SOPs, and tell you what to do, join you in also looking for these programs and all, you can get the Niger to Canada JAPA system. The Niger to Canada JAPA system is my signature program. It's a step-by-step guide that holds you by the hand from getting admission, teaches you about sending these cold emails, getting funding, and then at the end of the day, also preparing for visa application, submitting your visa for yourself or together with your family. We've helped hundreds of people. I was doing it for free before. I came to Canada, I started helping people. I mean, anybody, I'll call my friend, be like, do this, do this, do that. Some people didn't listen at that time, but they are listening now, and it's getting more competitive. So the Niger to Canada JAPA system will help you if you need a step-by-step guide. And that's it. Thank you very much. I hope that this video was really valuable for those who are coming to graduate school and are looking for funding and scholarship. Please like and subscribe to this to my channel. Like the video. I share lots of useful stuff. I also share useful stuff on Instagram and Twitter. My handles on those both of those places is Sheyi Speaks, at Sheyi Speaks, on Twitter at Sheyi Speaks, and on Instagram at Sheyi Speaks. So I'm so glad that you're here with me. I hope that you join us in the Niger to Canada JAPA system as well. And I'm going to try and do another video where we're talking more about this cold emails, what to write in the cold emails, how to construct your SOPs at the end of the day so that you can get admission into universities in Canada that actually offer funding and scholarship. So thank you very much. I'm wishing you the very best in your Canada studies, and I hope it really goes well with you. Don't forget, subscribe to this channel, like it, and then I'm going to see you in the next video.